Hey guys, so in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to color hair with pencil crayons, or as some people call them, colored pencils, and it's going to look like this in the end. So I'll show you what colors I'm going to be using. You don't need to use these exact colors obviously, but I'm going to do a greenish blue hair, so I'm using a light green, a blue green. I'm also using sort of a dark blue, a really dark green, a dark gray, and a black, and my colorless blender, but that's optional to use. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. So I'm just starting off by doing a coat of my lightest green, and I'm just working in small circular motions, and I'm pressing really lightly because you don't want to flatten the tooth of the paper yet. So I'm just going to be covering the whole head with this layer of green, so I'm just going to speed it up. And I'm going to have to speed up a lot of parts of this video because pencil crayon takes a long time to use, so there's no way I can do this unshortened. I think I had over 30 minutes of footage, so I had to speed this up a little bit. Alright, now I'm moving on to my bluish green color, and I'm mapping in where I want my shadows to be. I'm starting with a light color just because it's not too harsh, so if I screw up and I decide I don't want some shading there, I can just redo it. And I'm also mapping out where I want my highlight to be, so I'm just doing a curved shape along the crown of the head, and I'm going to leave most of that part uncolored for now, and that way I have a nice smooth highlight along there, because I sometimes accidentally color in parts of the highlight that I don't want to color in, so mapping it out really helps. And now I'm just speeding through this, filling in more of the basic shading with this blue-green color. Now I'm going in with the blue, sort of a medium to dark blue, sort of closer to medium, and again just darkening the shadows. And for everything I do, I'm working in the direction of the hair strands, because that's what differs coloring hair from coloring the skin, is that you are coloring in the direction that the hair is flowing, so that way it looks more like hair and not just like a blob of color. Like, you kind of want to get texture in when you're coloring things, so that's why I'm trying to make it a bit stranded, if that makes sense. And then right here, I believe I'm using the dark green. Again, just adding a bit of shading. And if you guys are wondering about tutorials for the skin, I actually have 2 skin tutorials with pencil crayons on my Kitty Z channel, so I'll leave a link to those. I have one on light skin and one on dark skin, and I also have a tutorial for eyes. It's probably a bit different than this eye because I did the highlights differently, but I can redo the eye tutorial if you guys want. Just let me know what kinds of pencil crayon tutorials you want to see. I don't think there's much other than hair, eyes, and skin. I mean, clothes doesn't really need its own tutorial, but yeah, let me know. At this point here, I'm using my dark gray, and again, just darkening the shadows. Same old, same old. I don't even know what to say. It's the same thing as before. Using pencil crayons is actually quite relaxing because it's a slow process, and I don't have to worry about screwing up so much like I do with Copic, so it's just a lot more relaxing and easier to go slowly and do nice blends. Adding a bit of shadow behind where the hair is sort of going behind her head there. I also have a bit of a highlight towards the bottom of her hair, just because it sort of sticks out a bit. At this point, I'm going in with my dark green again, and I'm starting to press harder because And my end result, I want the pencil crayon to be a solid coat of pencil crayon, me pushing down really hard, and that's called burnishing when you flatten the tooth of the paper like that, because some people color really lightly, sort of like the hair looks now, and you can see a lot of white specks showing through, but I just don't really like that look. I like when it looks more blended and solid, so that's why I'm slowly pressing harder and harder now that I have all my basic colors laid down, and from this point on I pretty much just go and use the colors I already used and start pressing harder. And yeah. Going back with my light blue-green. I'm pressing harder, and also when you press harder, your blending gets a bit messed up, so you have to go back and blend everything out again into the highlights. Now is when I'm really starting to push hard all over the hair. You can see that it's changing the color a lot. So yeah, if you're someone who prefers to just color really lightly, you can skip all this burnishing, but I really like the look of it. And I'm adding a bit of that dark gray back at the top because I think I forgot to add it up there, or it just got washed out or something like that. It just wasn't noticeable enough, so I'm going back and adding that in. Blending it out a bit with my dark green. And to me, this was the funnest part, was adding that light green. It's the same light green I used at the start, just this time I'm pressing a bit harder. And initially I wasn't sure if I wanted to full out burnish with my light green, so I was pressing hard but not really hard, not enough to completely burnish, but you know, medium pressure. I just really like the way it looked once the light green started blending in with the lighter green. It just looked really nice. So here I actually am going in really slowly, pressing really hard, completely burnishing, and I like the look of it, but I didn't want to do that all over, even on the dark parts of the hair. And you can, it'll work fine. Just I have a colorless blender, so I like to take advantage of that and use it whenever I can. So here it is. I just got it at Michael's. You can pretty much get it at any art supply store that sells open stock pencils. So you can buy just one without having to buy a whole pack of pencils. So now again, going in, pressing really, really hard this time, and I'm making sure I get out all of the little white specks. One downfall of this is it's sort of blending out the strandiness of the hair, the streakiness. So I go back in later, you'll see, and I sort of add a few more strands back in with my blues and greens just to make it look a bit more like hair. And it would look more like hair if I drew it in a style that had more strands, but I drew this as a very blocky hairstyle with not much detail within it. It's more just an outline of hair. So that's also why I need to make sure I get those strands in. And here I'm actually going in with my black, and I'm darkening in the shadows because the gray sort of got washed out a bit and I wanted my shadows to be a bit deeper, so I went in with the black. And you can see I'm making it a bit streaky. And yeah, this is the finished result. So hope you guys liked this tutorial, and thanks for watching.